Hi everyone, we are here for another live session, and today, it gives me a lot of pleasure to say that I have the privilege of having a very, very special guest with me today. It is Mukesh Parpiani, who is currently the head of NCPA. But of course, this is Mr. Parpiani. We are just waiting for him to join. He will be with us shortly. Good evening, Mr. Parpiani. How are you?
Good evening, Mr. Mohan. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, is the audio fine? Can anybody who is online and viewing this tell us if the audio is fine from both sides, from my side as well as Mr. Parpiani's side? Just give us an indication to say that the audio is fine. So while we are waiting, I can hear you clearly, Mr. Parpiani. Can you hear me clearly?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, so now we have some people saying that the audio is fine, because sometimes this is a bit of an issue with live sessions. The audio is sometimes off, sometimes the video is off. As long as the audio is, is audible, things are good. So as I was saying, it gives me great pleasure to have Mr. Parpiani here with me. It is a pleasure and a privilege, because Mr. Parpiani now he is the head of the Piramal Gallery at NCPA, the head of photography. But in his previous role, he was the photo editor of 3 significant daily newspapers. One was the Daily, the second one was Indian Express, and the third one was Midday. And he was the photo editor of these 3 publications at various points, of course, and for almost about 2.5 decades. And prior to that, he was also a photojournalist and an extremely good photojournalist. But that's not all. Mr. Parpiani has had the distinction of, in my mind, the distinction of having some of the most beautiful, some of the most incredible photojournalistic images of daily life, of Mumbai streets, and of having covered some of the most significant events in the history of India. So thank you for being with us on this, on our live session today, Mr. Parpiani. Thank you for joining us here.
Yeah, please.
So, Mr. Parpiani, you're an extremely senior person, so please excuse me if I'm asking you some untoward or difficult questions. But these are questions that I'm sure that all the readers and all the viewers of our channel would like to know. So, so my first question to you is that this is now your 50th year of photography. So this year, in fact, you're celebrating your 50 years of photography, and 50 very eventful, very brilliant years since you took up photography as a profession. And you've had a lot of very significant moments. You've had moments that were historic, that were captured through your camera. How do you feel about 50 years of professional photography? How do you feel? Did you think, when you began, did you think that it would be such an incredible journey so far?
Well, I began very long back, almost 16 or 17, when I did the Dr. Professor P.K.M. Pillai at Indo Society. One after whatever courses he conducted, from picture composition, portraiture, darkroom, photo, one and all. But in those days, I never knew that my photography career is going to be so long. In fact, doing the thesis, I had no such at any newspaper places, because I was time covering events as and when I used to. as and when the thing processed, almost 4 or 5 years I did such assignments. I felt now to study photography, 9 pictures, I have to buy a film, I have to make a print. If I make
Um,
if I make
Mr. Parpiani, just a second. Yeah, I'm getting some comments saying that the audio is not very clear. Would you happen to, if you're not close to the microphone, could you get a little closer to the microphone, or would you happen to have a hands free?
yeah, I will come closer to the. Is it clear now?
Yeah, definitely, much more audible, much better. Thank you.
I hope it is clear.
Much clearer, much clearer. Can the audience also confirm that it is clear?
Is voice clear now?
Yeah, it is clearer now.
Yeah.
Please continue. I'm so sorry to interrupt you.
So, I had as I said, I will buy a 35 roll and buy into paper and make a print in my homemade darkroom. Buy what you call Akfa paper, buy a tri film. So I used to buy a Oreo in those days, do
Yeah.
a side. But after 5 6 years, I felt how long this will go on. We have to buy an album also. I hardly save anything. So I must try to diversify. I tried various options doing commercial photography, but then equipment's very expensive. RB67 I could not afford. So slowly I continued whatever I could do, and I did the course at St. Xavier Institute of Communication on mass communications. I did the courses and started contributing my street pictures to the newspapers. There used to be a Sunday Standard Sunday paper which used to have a spread. There used to be a free press bulletin. They used to take my pictures. And then I also got few assignments from R.K. Karandia, the Blitz Weekly. So I continued. In 21, I started the daily newspaper stuff. I hired myself and Feroz Mistry from in US. Both of us were hired as a full-time and we worked very hard as a tabloid newspaper. It was new. Already one evening was there, but there was no morning tabloid. And very fast. Suddenly there was an Indian Express also. So the circulation and every basic the best newspaper.
Mr. Parpiani, please let me interrupt again. Again, I think the audio is off because I'm finding breaks in my audio. I'm not sure if that's the same case with the others. Are you able to hear me clearly?
I'm able to hear you clearly.
Okay, sometimes I'm not sure why it's happening, but there are sometimes the audio is going off and it's coming on. Would you happen to have hands? Sometimes this happens, Mr. Parpiani. So unfortunately, in a live, these problems do occur. So would you happen to have a hands-free, with a cable attached or with a Bluetooth?
No, we don't have that. There is a little connectivity issue, perhaps might be here.
Right. See, like for
I
instance,
think we'll have to...
right now I could hear you perfectly well, but sometimes it goes down.
Yeah, I said I get the message. Audio is breaking up. But
Yeah.
are you okay?
I think it's okay now. So I think we should just continue, Mr. Parpiani.
All right. So Abhi,
You were
after the
mentioning Mr. Firoz. I think that was the point when it started breaking up.
yes, the Firoz mystery and myself covered the Mumbai very extensively, almost every day, full page of pictures.
Right.
Then there used to be, as I mentioned, there was a strike in Indian Express. So the circulation of the daily boomed and the all success was ours. Meanwhile, Mr. Karanjia had some issues, so he joined the hands with another group of company from Delhi, and we shifted from the Kavasti Patel Street to Kolaba, and we continued to work from there. And again, there under the new management, also we had a wonderful time. And after that, I got a call from. Meanwhile, yes, Firoz left me halfway, and he went abroad because he got a better offer. And he went abroad. Then he had a this designer daily newspaper called Sebastian D'Souza, the one who won the award last year.
Yes, the famous image. Yes.
I can join you. I said, yeah, you are most welcome. You can take a place of the Firoz, and we continue to work there for another 2, 3 years till I got the offer from the Indian Express to come and head a photography team there because the most of them were very seniors and were on the verge of retirement. Mr. Vivek Goenka, then the executive director of the group, called me and we had a long discussion. I explained plans for the photo team. I asked for the biggest space on the for the photo department. We said, Mr. Parpiani, the 1 square feet you are standing here, how much that cost in Nariman Point? I said yes. Still, he cooperated. He gave me more young hands to start the department. We started very well. We got all the equipments we were looking for, and then there was no looking back at Indian Express. Indian Express also had the other publications like Lok Satta, Jan Satta, Gujarati paper, Samkalin, Financial Express, Lok Prabha. So the reach of my photograph was much wider, and the best time of 10 years at the more than 10 years at the Indian Express. More than 3 to 4 exhibitions at NCPA. The picture shot year. In 1 year, so we got the entries from all the centers of India, and around 35, 40 photographers uh, were on the walls of NCPA's Piramal Art Gallery. And because come out with a 4 page and 8 page supplements and at the top of this are the best of the year, and that was also circulated in Western India wherever the Bombay edition used to go. Almost 10 years at the Indian Express. After 10 years, yeah, those 10 years we also tried to go digital. The Kargil war covered with a camera. The digital camera with the flop.
Mr. Parpiani, again, there's a bit of a breakup. There's a bit of an audio lag. There's a bit of a breakup happening. I think that Uh, is everyone being able to hear as well? Is everyone being able to hear, or is there a breakup happening at your end? Please, can you confirm? Are you
Hello.
able Are you able to hear me clearly, Mr. Parpiani?
To hear.
Are you able to hear me clearly? I couldn't hear you.
Hello.
Yeah, Mr. Parpiani. Sorry. Please continue. Please
Yes.
continue.
Yes. So we got the pictures from Kargil on a floppy, and then the by email. Email also used to take around 8 minutes to download one image. The connectivity was so slow, but it was just a birth of a digitalization. But by the time anything goes further, I moved to the midday newspaper. Again, there was a offer from the to for a better payments.
I'm sorry. I think there is a bit of a connectivity issue. The video was frozen for a second. The video was frozen for a few seconds.
Yeah. So the inning at the midday started after the beautiful inning at the Indian Express. Midday also, I lined up a team, took some new faces also, and started working as a team like I had formed a team at the Indian Express. And at the midday also, we had a wonderful inning. First, though, they had already better darkroom facilities even before I joined. They had a Jobo processor. They had a Sony scanner which used to scan entire 36 frames in about 2 to 3 minutes.
Hmm.
And then you take a digital printout and show it to the editor and the news desk, and the pictures goes on the pages directly to the server. So that much digitalization Midday had already done, except we were still using film camera. But the big digital SLRs were very expensive. So we said, let's wait till the prices come down. The Kodak had first launched the digital camera, but the price was very, very high. So we stayed on with the film as we were doing. Meantime, your better photography had a photo contest. We participated year after year. And if my memory is alive, I think between the Better Photography and Press Club Mumbai, we won more than 20 awards.
I
We
remember that. I
won.
remember that.
We also won. We won also 5, 6 film camera SLRs at Nikon. So again, the my foot was settled down in the for a successful photojournalist Bombay. Then we thought of buying the digital SLR. So then I put up a proposal for buying a digital SLR. Price was 4.5 lakh rupees. So Nikon D1, which
The
was
D1,
one
yes.
mega,
Yes. Yeah,
was
it was one
one
megapixel.
megapixel.
That's right. Right.
So finally, Mr. Tariq Ansari said, in 4.5 lakh, what you can buy? You can buy a flat in Mira Road. So again, kept quiet, but somehow we managed to buy one for us, Nikon D1 DSLR. We sent that Nikon D1 to the when Afghanistan war was going. The other correspondent who was carrying the laptop and the camera was riding a small nala on a horseback along with other journalists. And the horse jumped. So imagine what happened. Laptop and DSLR Nikon D1 went into the water. After it came back from the Afghanistan, we split Japan's report since it was inshore. But I'm telling you why photojournalism journey is not easy. It has a lot of speed breakers. After it came back from Afghanistan, went to Japan, it came back. It did take about 90 parts. Anyhow, they sent us a new piece. So we continued the work with all important events. We used Nikon D1 1 megapixel. And wherever it was possible, we will shoot on the film cameras. Meanwhile, we also bought the Nikon Coolpix camera. The actor was to pivot to photos also. So when there is no need and you just simple need a mugshot or a interview type of thing, the reporter can also shoot. So that way, quite cooperative and advancing in all as far as technical support. We had a wonderful photo station photo. You can describe any pictures in a fraction of a minute, by just doing the proper caption and proper search.
Right.
So we had also wonderful support from the parts of the journalists also. They were a very good team after midday, and we continued there also. We bought another big speed breaker again. We bought one more DSLR. That DSLR went to Bangalore to cover a cricket match. I don't know what happened. That DSLR got stolen from the hotel. So there have been ups and downs in the running also, but still thanks to EMS that was with us and almost the inning at the midday at the age of 58 years.
Right.
I think it's better time to say goodbye to photojournalism. But photojournalism not leaving me. It's continued. Then I was just relaxing for a month at home after retiring from midday. Then one day I got a call from the NCPA. The head of the Piramal Gallery, Mr. Praful Patel, who also hosted our 4-5 exhibitions in the gallery,
Of
got
course.
retired
Of
and
course.
the NCPA was looking for a different person. So I went and met the chairman, I met general manager, I met all the vertical heads. They also wanted me to run the photo department to cover the NCPA events because what happens during PC Patel days, there used to have a freelancer who used to come half an hour or 1 hour every evening, shoot some pictures and give the prints next day. So there was not very exclusive coverage happening. So Then I put up a proposal there for the two photographers, Narendra Dangia and Kiran Bhasin. They worked with me for a very long time, and we continued to, beside running the gallery, we started doing the covering the events day-to-day basis of the NCPA events, whether it is a dance, drama, music, theatre, or the Symphony Orchestra of India. There also we had a wonderful time. We had exhibitions. Meanwhile, Kiran Basin left, but the Narendra Dangia is still with me even after 10 years, and we are doing a wonderful work. And I am now almost done 69, 70 in that 10 years. I have not done less than 200 exhibitions there.
It's fantastic.
And beside that, we have organized at least one or two photo talks every month with the different photographers. And now,
Absolutely.
because of the corona problem, we are shut down, we are locked down. Now, once the things open,
Uh,
let's play something at the NCPA.
I think in the last decade, NCPA or Piramal Art Gallery has never ever been as active in since since the previous decades. It's the most active phase of Piramal Art Gallery happened after you joined, with its talks and
Thank
exhibitions and with all the all the other activities that also keep happening on the World Photography Day. It's wonderful to see such a space that is entirely dedicated to photography in Mumbai. It is the only space, in fact, in the entire city of Bombay that is dedicated to the art of photography. And a great amount of thanks goes to you, and both to you and to Piramal Gallery as well as to NCPA to enable this to happen. So I think it's a wonderful, wonderful thing to see.
you.
But
Total credit goes to, I am there only for just 10 years, but let me tell you, the gallery is there since last 30 years.
of course,
And when it started in 1988, and I had a first my exhibition in 1989, the U.S. historian Judith
Judith Mara
Mara, that
Gutman.
she gave her entire collection to us, and we had a wonderful first exhibition there. At that time, we also had a very wonderful backroom in 1989 in Bombay. Nobody had a Jobo processor.
Right,
Nobody had in 1989 a Jobo film processor, which NCPA had.
right.
And we also had a Sibacom prints, processing a transparency and making direct prints and
Positive print.
exhibiting in gallery
Right.
was, was a very good advanced development NCPA did with the Piramal Gallery. They continued, and the Mr. Praful Patel, entire credit goes to Mr. Patel and NCPA. I took him only 10 years back, and I am also trying to do my best, and I am sure I will continue to do the further good. Depends on the all the blessings and cooperations of from all quarters of the photography fraternity.
No, but absolutely, I agree. But a large amount of the credit must go to you. I'm speaking as an outsider who has seen the earlier days and who is seeing what has happened in the last decade too. In fact, for the viewers who may not know this, NCPA Piramal Art Gallery in particular has got a incredible archive of photographs and sorry, incredible archive of photographs which is actually maintained in archival conditions. It is not just something that is
Yes,
just lying in any kind of environment. It is 24/7 dehumidified, air-conditioned environment. It is lying there. I've seen the space and some incredible books.
yes,
All these images have been donated by some of the greatest photographers who've exhibited. And it is now an incredible archive. In fact,
yes,
in the last decade or so, Mr. Parpiani has been instrumental in taking the prints out of the archive and actually putting it up on the walls of the gallery, because once in a while, especially on World Photography Day. So this coming August, in World Photography Day, those of you who want to see a spectacular exhibition, and if the COVID-19 situation opens up, hopefully it will, at least in a planned or phased manner, please do visit the exhibition that goes on at NCPA at Piramal Gallery, set up by Mukesh Parpiani. Just let me ask another question. So, from the Daily to the Indian Express and to the Midday, the one constant that I've seen across your entire career path, all the way up to NCPA today, is a certain level of excellence. Like, for instance, when you were in the Indian Express, I remember that the photography that happened at the Express was incredible in those days. The same thing happened, as you mentioned, with Midday. There was a time when I remember Better Photography awarded, I think, 5 cameras. You took away all the prizes from that one contest, which was meant for photojournalism. Okay, it was a national level contest that we had, and Midday photographers took away all the prizes from every category. Okay, I think five of the latest DSLRs that Nikon sponsored, all went to Midday at that point of time. So success followed you, and I know a little bit about the reason why it also followed you, because I'm in touch with some of the national photo editors who are there in the dailies today. All of them have been your employees. So today's national photo editors all have been your employees at one point or the other. So what they say is very interesting. They say that you were a taskmaster. You were very tough. You took no excuses. You never made any excuses for yourself either. If performance was expected of your employees, you would expect the same level of performance from yourself. And that was something that is incredible to hear from all your employees. So your employees today are all the national photo editors, and this is what they have to say, about Mukesh Parpiani during his younger days, that he was a very, very tough boss, but at the same time a boss who expected what he expected from his employees, he would expect out of himself. So can you tell us something about being a very tough boss to the current batch of photo editors who are there today in newspapers? So what happened in those days? Do you think that they're correct in saying that you were a tough boss?
Yes, I was a tough taskmaster, not only with them but with myself also.
Right.
If I expect my colleague to reach on one particular assignment at 7 a.m. in the morning, and if he is making faces, then say I'm a tough. Then I'm very tough. But it is not that I have not done the 7 o'clock assignments. If suddenly I was staying in Vadala and I get a call of something at Kurla, whether it is 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock or 11 o'clock night. So if it falls within my reachable area, I will also rush there. I will be tough with me. I will not say that, oh, you go from Thana or you from the Kalba Devi, you go to Kolaba. No, if it was, or if I knew that my person is busy at XYZ place, I will rush out myself irrespective of the looking at the watch,
Right.
So it is not any personal vendetta which I had. Whatever I was doing was for the newspaper and the betterment of the newspaper, betterment of the photo team. Obviously at the end of the year, we have to sit across the conference room on a KRA evaluations.
Absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, Mr. Parpiani, if I remember, those were the times wherever you had gone into those particular papers, had the best photojournalism across, I'm talking about from a national perspective, across papers in India, had some of the best photojournalism, and that was probably because of the way you pushed your team. But I remember, and in the early 2000s, we had spoken about this once. I remember you mentioning also that it was not just a one-sided thing. It was not just the expectation that you had from the team, but it was also, you were actually fighting your own battle for them on their behalf, for better salaries, for getting them all the employee benefits that every other employee got in the team. Can you tell us something about this at that point of time? Because I remember that photojournalism was not really at that point of time, especially, was not the best paying profession, despite of all the risks that a photojournalist had to take at that point of time. So you're fighting for benefits, you're fighting for insurance. I remember you speaking to me about this. Tell us something about those days too.
Yes, I tried my best. Why not only in the organization where I worked,
Correct.
but in the whole Bombay city. If any photojournalist has suffered any problem or anything and it reminds me of the chief photographer of the Samna who was beaten up in a lathi charge at outside Kane Hospital. He was admitted there, but somehow you know how the hospitals are. So when I saw him next day morning, I was little bit worried. He requires a proper care and immediately I pulled up some strings. I did not even wait to call up the Matoshri in Kalanagar. And next day, Balasaheb Thackeray. Remember, the Suresh Kelkar was not only my friend, my fellow journalist, but a photographer for the Shiv Sena mouthpiece Samna. He came rushing there to the Kane Hospital. And then everything went fine and he was back into the work very fast. So somehow, sometime I have to take up the cause not only of my fellow colleagues at the newspaper where I work, or if they are running into any problems, personal problem or any other kind of problem, I always have helped them. As I told you, we lost the two D1 cameras, but still I stood by them that okay, no problem, we carry on, we will do something, we'll try to perform, we will be more careful, we'll ensure everything and see that our apologies for all the problems, but they are not, they were all unexpected. So whenever there has been a problem in the Mumbai photojournalist fraternity, I have tried to do my best. There was another photojournalist from the what you call Asian Age. He fell down from a bike and he was badly hurt and he was admitted in a hospital. The next day when I went to just inquire, his parents were standing by and they were almost saying that we are helpless. I was in pain. Again, went to the office. I had to call up the Raj Bhavan to ensure that proper message is sent to the dean of the hospital and his taken care of, is taken care of. And in those days where the photojournalists were not well paid that they can afford to go to any private hospitals, you have to go to the government or municipal hospitals. So whatever possible I have done, rest is for. In fact, whatever I have done, when I fell down 3 years back and was admitted in the New Bombay hospitals, and we had a very bad experiences with the doctors there. Again, it was the word spread. Gelato. He's gone. He's gone now.
I
He
remember.
won't be
I
back.
remember. Of course. Yes.
They started coming to me in New Bombay hospital. But today I'm here.
And we are very, very.
Yeah.
And I'm very, very thankful to the powers that be that you're here. I remember that it was a very difficult time.
Credit goes to all my well wishers. Credit goes to Arvind Inamda. Credit goes to Press Club. Credit goes to my family. If I am alive today, it's all because of my karmas and the hard work of my family. They put it up in those 2 months.
Of course.
Put it up me. Yes.
I think it was a difficult time, but also in a sense, the time when you were actually working on behalf of all those photojournalists from Bombay. It was also a very significant golden time also, because I don't think that before or even after there has been a period when there was a champion for photojournalism and photojournalists to do this. I mean, I remember that particular phase where salaries increased for photojournalists. At that point of time, from 7,500 rupees to 10,000 rupees, 15,000 rupees, 20,000 rupees. I remember that within a very short duration of time, all the newspapers, because of your effort, started increasing their salaries, because they started realizing what kind of a job, what kind of risk photojournalists were taking, and that they have to treat photojournalists better, which was the outcome of your effort, which you put in during those days. But that was one part of what people saw about you, because the other part of what people saw, was inside the paper itself, were the photographs that were there inside the paper. Okay, so you've been photographing constantly. You've been producing significant work constantly, from political figures to Bollywood film personalities, from the Mumbai Police to the Mumbai riots, from disasters and floods to the Ganesh Visarjan photos that we used to see every year in the paper, to all those street photos, and a lot of them come to mind, because hundreds of them actually come to mind, and thousands of them were published. You probably have more than 1,000 published photos, much more than 1,000 published photos. So the one question that I have is, you've been constantly at it, not just for the cause of photojournalists and photojournalism, but also as a photographer. And many of these photographs, the big difference that I see between your work and many other photojournalists. Other photojournalists are also very good. They have very composed shots. They are very good photographs. Okay, but the difference that I see is a certain level of involvement, a very personal involvement, and intimacy almost which is visible also in your street photos, just as it is with all your political personality photos. How does that come about? How does someone become an involved photojournalist? How does one become a photojournalist who is intimate with the subject in that manner, which is very difficult to
To,
achieve?
yes, very, very difficult and the sometimes very painful also. You mentioned about Ganpati pictures. You know, when I was in the Indian Express, just before the Ganpati immersion started, the Ganpati Mahamandal had announced that the photographers will not be allowed to go inside the water and take the pictures while the statues are being immersed. I said, how can it be possible? If I'm shooting a picture at the 10 o'clock in the Lal Bagh and publishing at 7 o'clock in the morning, then where is the immersion picture? For the newspaper, the latest picture should go. So I must get the immersion picture. So I put up the one photographer, Mohan Bane. I told him to go and set up fix up a fisherman at the Badwar Park in the Parade, hire a boat and go and get into boat, wait in the mid-sea. When almost the Ganesha idol is come inside, I need that picture at 7 o'clock evening short picture after it has been immersion. But at the same time, I just did not wait because I was doing it for the first time. So I planted myself at Chopati and I showed those Chopati pictures also. But luckily, Mohan Bane came with a wonderful picture. Lord Ganesha almost half submerged
I
in
remember that, yes.
silent waters of the Arabian Sea in the backdrop of the 7 p.m. sky and went 6 column, 6 column.
Right,
The Lok Sabha, Indian Express, and our Samkalin editor Hasmukh Gandhi
right.
carried it in colors. So imagine the half paper of the broadsheet was only a picture.
Right.
Unless you take initiative, you take interest, you involve your team, stand by them if there is any problem. For a moment, he was a little bothered that tomorrow if the Maharashtra Ganpati Mahamandal will bring a Porsche. No,
Right,
don't worry, nothing will happen. We'll take care of it. We are not multiplated idols. We are not publishing the multiplated idols which get washed ashore next afternoon. We are not doing that.
right.
So we did good thing. Next year, I said now this has been done. So I put one person in the sea. And since I had almost done that scoop picture. So all other newspaper also hired the boats
And
and
do the
landed
same
up
thing.
there. They had all 4 to 5 boats all along the Arabian Sea. Oh, we will also get this year this picture.
So that's the time when you decided to take a helicopter.
So that time I again told my crime reporter that our police commissioner takes sorties around the Chapati. So please tell him to accommodate me and the police commissioner can't say no to a crime reporter. So, so I got along with him, shot a aerial shot against 6 column. I will stop there. Third year,
Right.
they were wondering what will I do, and even I was wondering because I had no plan 3. The only mid-sea and Chopati and the helicopter. So then police commissioner, no, this time nobody will come.
Right.
He did not allow anyone to fly. So I was said, okay, fine. Then we use Chopati picture and the mid-sea picture. What else? We have nothing options. So one person was shooting on the Chopati sands, and I was also walking on the sands after shooting 8-10 images, and I was waiting for the big Ganpatis from Khetwadi to arrive. And suddenly I saw J.R.D. Tata in the middle of lakhs of people with a friend of his, with his chappals in the hand, merging inside the crowd of what, easily 2 lakhs on the last day of Ganpati immersion.
Of course, it's like you can't make out a single face there. Right.
Yeah. So suddenly it is my luck that he came in front of my camera and I recognized him. I recognized him. And luckily, third year we had no Ganesha pictures on page 1, but we had a J.R.D. Tata walking with a chapel in the hand, barefoot. That went page 1. So this is the Ganesha.
Let me ask you about, since you mentioned that, sometimes there are images. Okay, Mr. Parpiani, so in a few minutes from now, what is going to happen is that the session is going to get cut off because there is a time limit of just 1 hour for an Instagram live. So all those viewers who are viewing, what we are going to do is we are going to, when it does get cut off, we are going to go into a second session. So Mr. Parpiani will go into a second session. So I will restart the live, and you will please request to be back into the thing once if it does get cut off. So we will go into a second session of live once this session ends. It might get cut off very abruptly, so all the viewers, please come back once the session gets cut off. We will go into second session of Q&A with Mr. Mukesh Parpiani. So Mr. Parpiani, I wanted to ask you this, and this is a very, very important question. Being a sensitive photojournalist is critical, I think, to the idea of becoming an involved photojournalist. The sensitivity of a photographer is I think the decisive factor in whether what makes a good photojournalist and an average photojournalist. I remember the case of Aruna Shanbag, where you were I think you were the only photographer to actually have a few photos, and despite the access that you had, because you kept getting invited by the hospital, and I think you were able to actually go and attend several functions, but you did not take a second photo. You shot a few frames, but you did not make photos later on, or even if you did, you did not publish them. And that one photo that you had produced was used time and again and again, across the years, across various newspapers. And I remember this because that's a very iconic image of Aruna Shanbag. For those of you who may not know the history of Aruna Shanbag, she was a nurse who was in coma for a very long time. In 2010 approximately, her colleagues, her family decided to move the court for euthanasia, okay, which was basically to euthanize her, so to basically stop all the life-saving equipment from keeping her alive. It was a big thing, and the hospital where she was, the staff and everyone had taken extremely good care of her for the many years that she was in a coma. So it was a very important story for for hospitals in Bombay, and this was a very important image which kept getting used year after year. But why didn't you make second images? Why didn't you shoot the story? Why did you not shoot?
Let me tell you, Mr. Madhwan, that yes, I am very sensitive. And also, let me clarify that I was never invited by the hospital to come and shoot her pictures. In fact, I was prevented multiple times from taking her pictures. But if I happen to be at the Came hospital for some other story, I will do Shakshat Namaskar to her room, which used to be remain locked, you know. And one afternoon after she was given a bath and she was dressed up and she was lying on her bed, I saw the door open. Remember, it was the Nikon FM camera shutter which makes noise. I said, now this is the time. I just pulled out quickly my camera from my bag and I clicked the 2 frames. But see the just sound of the shutter, she got tense. She got so tense that somebody has entered her room. You know, and that expressions on her face, I came out, I gave the picture to Midday because in those days I was freelancing in Midday. Behram Contractor was the editor because Midday was carrying everyday stories about Aruna Shanbag, but they had no picture. So I knew they are carrying the stories, they don't have a picture, but those two shutter clicks and her noise made me very sensitive. And then I said, no, I will never come here and shoot her again. In fact, then the other papers also told me, now, why don't you go after you almost, that was a story of 80s, go and shoot her. I said, no, I will not go and disturb her. If you want to use that picture, you use it, or you carry your story without the picture. I felt and even I am very sensitive. I keep on seeing the road accidents on the roads. I keep on seeing the blast, like 1993 blast. In the blast, I was in the office at the adjoining building, Air India building. We rushed downstairs and we shot bodies all around. We rushed to the stock exchange, but we tried to use the minimum painful picture because we cannot the blast, but at least we use the minimum painful picture of the record. But coming back to Aruna Shanbag, when she died, I said at least I could cover her funeral. We dropped by. I carried the camera also, but I did not go to the cremation. So yes, I am sensitive.
Right, right, absolutely. I completely. Okay, I'm going to stop the live at this point of time. Okay, before it cuts off on its own, I'm going to stop the live and I'm going to come right back. So, Mr. Parpiani, please join back as soon as I start the new session of live because it's going to get cut off any second now. Okay, so all the viewers, please join us back. These are